after the hour here on the I'm Mr. Wayne program. On the radio all over the country on the Fox Business Network. Please welcome from the state of Virginia, Representative Eric Cantor. Good morning, Congressman Cantor.
Good morning, Im. It's good to be with you again.
How are you?
I'm good. Happy belated 4th.
Happy 4th to you as well. Warner Wolf just down in your state stayed at a Motel 6.
I hope they kept the light on for him.
Well, they did, yeah. So. Let's start with Michael Steele. What are y'all going to do with him?
Well, listen, I think enough has been said about Michael Steele. Obviously, I just disagree with what he said about the war in Afghanistan. I disagree that it was a war of our choosing. We were faced with the situation there post 9/11. We understand the seriousness and the risk that region of the world poses to our security here, and we've got to win this war.
Guy's causing a lot of problems, isn't he? Getting these lap dances and all the stuff he's doing. Think he should step down?
Listen, as you know as well as I that the Republican National Committee and the party itself is there to provide support and to raise money, and that's a job of a RNC chairman. And Michael Steele has done a lot in that area. We've got to keep focused. He's got to keep focused on continuing to do that. I believe it is, obviously critical to the success of our party this election that he focus on the traditional role of the party chair, which is, to raise the resources necessary and deliver the election. So
you don't think he should step down?
Listen, that's not for me to decide. As you know, these national parties operate.
I wasn't suggesting you were going to decide. I wanted to know what you thought.
Well, listen,
you think he should or you think he shouldn't?
Again, Michael Steele's role is a separate and apart from the official role that I play as a Republican office holder. He plays a role in the party structure. He is elected by the Republican National Committee, and we'll have to see. But listen, I think that his comments were inappropriate. They were inaccurate. There's no doubt about that. The tenet of the Republican Party, one of the policy planks is that we believe in a strong national defense, and we believe in making sure we're standing by our allies and we're supporting our troops. And that's why the comments that he made were so criticized by so many of us. But again, I think that Michael Steele and his role as chairman, he's got to keep focused on the things that a party chair does. And, I hope he will, and I believe he will.
That's the problem with these interviews, with me, is I get obsessed with, like I'll ask somebody a question, like you've been on a lot of times. And then you won't, then you won't answer it. And so then I'm sitting there. So then you keep talking, and Charles can be a witness to this. You keep talking, and I stop listening because all I'm thinking about is that the bastard won't answer my question. I didn't mean to call you a bastard, but because you're not.
You meant that in a generic sense.
Woken up on the wrong side of bed this morning.
in a generic, metaphorical sense.
Right.
I didn't mean you specifically, or some rotten lion.
That's fine.
Anyway, okay, if we won't say should he resign, should he be sent to his room? How about a timeout?
I think he's gotten plenty of time out over the last couple of days for sure. There's been enough said. I think he understands. I've spoken to him. There's a lot of folks who are very upset with that, and obviously so. Again, it goes to the core of who we think Republicans are. We ought not be having party chairs saying the kinds of things he did. This is not a war of our choosing, period.
No, maybe he'd been back to that club and had a couple of cocktails. Well, who knows? He does seem to me like pretty much a moron, but who knows?
No. Listen, I don't think he was at the club, but
he says he wasn't. He is right, though. There's no foreign power. I mean, I don't see any way. He didn't say this, but I think he's right that I don't see how we can win there. And no foreign power. I guess Genghis Khan did okay, but other than that, no foreign powers ever won a ground war there, have they?
Well, Amos, listen, right after 9/11, when we went in there, we went in and busted up the Taliban and its grip on that country. Again, it's going to be a commitment and a focus. I mean, you saw what Senator McCain said there the other day, that, Kandahar is key. It is about loosening the Taliban control over that country, and yes, we must do it. There's not a question. It's really like a false choice that you're posing, Amos. We've got to win this war. We understand the nature of the threat and the risk. If that region of the world were to descend, I mean, you've got nuclear power in Pakistan right next door. We can't afford to lose this war. This goes back to the fact, Amos, this is not a war of our choosing.
No, I understand all that. I agree with you there. And I guess it's unimportant whether I agree with you at all. My only point is, I know we want to win. I know we can't lose, but we're going to. So, I mean, I just don't see any way. I mean, unless you can convince me otherwise. So, and the president, I mean, they clearly, and the vice president, all of them, they clearly have a plan to get out of there, and probably fairly soon.
Well, I mean, I think that's counter to the goal of winning the war when you put out there a date certain of withdrawal. I mean, everyone knows, the perception now in the region is sort of a question of the commitment that we've got in this country. I mean, we cannot be sending that. I do think that General Petraeus and his and under his leadership, I mean, he's got a job to do to make sure that we, sort of finesse that actual deadline to send the signal to the folks in the region that we are not intending to bolt, and that we are going to follow through on our desire to see that country never return again to a base from which terrorists can launch attacks against the United States.
Back in the mid-1800s, when the Texans and Texas Rangers and others were fighting the Comanche Indians, oftentimes in these battles, they would just, regardless of what happened, one side or the other, or both would just simply say they won and go home. So maybe we should do that there. Because you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
I don't think we can compare the Al-Qaeda folks or Taliban with the Comanche Indians right now. So, unfortunately, I think we've got, as you know, some bad actors in Iran. It's proxies in the Middle East, as well as, sort of the funding stream that comes out of the Middle East into the Central Asian region. That's not going away. Now, I don't think that the Taliban, the Al-Qaeda, the other radical Islamists are going away. And we've got a serious threat to our national security. Again, it goes back to the fact it wasn't a war of our choosing, and that's the fundamental point at which we've got to all agree and do all we can to make sure that we're securing our interests.
The Comanche Indians were the baddest tribe on the planet. Do you know what they could do? They could ride a horse full speed and shoot 10 arrows before, and they could shoot all 10 arrows before the first arrow hit the ground. Can the Taliban do that? No, they can't. No, they can't. They can't do that.
It's a pretty rapid fire.
There were some bad dudes. They would cut off the bottom of your feet and then make you walk around and then shoot you. That's how bad they were. So
that's definitely pretty bad.
Oh no, they're bad. So the president's going to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu today. He's doing the right thing there regarding Israel, in your view?
Is he doing the right thing to do what, Amos?
Is the president doing the right thing regarding Israel?
Oh, no, well, listen, I mean, he's got a lot of, I think, clarifying to do as far as Israel's concerned. I mean, we know that just the latest incident, several weeks ago on this flotilla incident, I know that many of us in Congress were hoping for the president to take a much stronger stance and to speak up and stand by our ally Israel. I mean, they've got a situation where there's avowed enemies on their border. They're being fueled by this terrorist-sponsoring nation in Iran. What would we do if we were in that instance? What would we do if we had a flotilla approaching, the port in Miami or New York? What would we do? You better believe we'd take every action to secure ourselves. So, you know, I'm a
we
little
don't
bit
do it with our own borders.
well, I mean,
in this country.
Thus the outrage. That's the outrage over the border. So, again, I was a little disappointed by the lack of resolve, if you will, on the part of the administration. I'm hoping that, you know, this meeting here in Washington will produce some more confidence between, you know, certainly the White House and the Israeli government. You know, Israel is a strategic partner of ours, reliable, unlike any other in the region. We need Israel. Israel needs us. Their security is synonymous with our own when it comes to the fight against the terrorists and the spread of radical Islam. And that's, you know, the lines have been muddied over the last, you know, year or so with this administration as far as where we stand. And I'm hopeful that what comes out today from the meeting of the president and the prime minister is some clarity and resolve.
We should take a lesson from them and secure our borders, you know.
Well, listen, I mean, you know, again, you look at where they stand. I mean, the difference between their fences and their borders is, you know, they can't allow folks to come across because that means another Israeli or many more will die. We're seeing the same thing in instances along our border. I mean, why do you think the outrage is where it is in Arizona? Because people are seeing the lawlessness that has flooded their communities now. I mean, that's not America.
Was that like a rhetorical question? Because I'm not going to answer any question from you because you wouldn't answer the one from
Wait
me.
a minute.
So.
When can I come on and have that role?
Always nice to have you on the program. Thank you very much.
All right, Amos. Take care.